It's a quiet morning in Madison. All the squirrels are holed up in their trees. Sammy checks his mail.
Oh, a letter from the city. It's my annual assessment.
Sammy is surprised that his property value has increased.
What? In this economy?
Olivia Owl wakes up.
What's the matter, Sammy?
How come it didn't go down when the economy went down? My neighbor thought there'd be a property tax freeze.
Unfortunately, Sammy, a true property tax freeze would require a state constitutional amendment, and that takes years. Your assessment is always based on market data as of January 1st each year. For example, do you remember when Sally Squirrel's house was struck by lightning? There was a fire and her tree was damaged in February. Sally's tax assessment for that year still reflected the market data and her home's condition as of January 1st, before the fire. The following year's assessment reflected the value of her damaged tree. The repaired tree wouldn't be assessed until the year after. And this, Sammy, is how tax assessment works. Your assessment is set as of January 1st and shows the value of your property based on market data in the previous calendar year.
Interesting. Tell me more. How does the city decide how much tax I'll pay?
The county, the city, local school districts, and the technical colleges each receive a portion of your property tax payment. The amount that goes to the city is based on the city's expenses. The city calls this amount their levy. This typically accounts for 35% of your property tax bill. The amount of the levy you pay is proportional to the value of your home. A business might have a higher property value and might pay more.
Oh, that sounds fair. Does everybody pay a fair share?
Well, there are ways that the tax burden is shifted. For example, some businesses lobby to be compared to low-valued properties that might be boarded up or run down, often referred to as dark stores. Now, the dark store theory of valuation can reduce the assessment of a brand new $10 million building to a few $1,000,000.
Well, that doesn't seem fair. How can they pay $10 million for a property, then claim it's only worth $2 million?
It happens right here in Madison, Sammy, and it affects the amount of levy you pay.
How do they determine the value of my home?
When an assessor values your property and improvements, they're looking at market data, including the sales trend across your neighborhood. They look at the arm's length sales of property like yours. Arm's length sales represent willing buyers and sellers who list on the open market. They do not include foreclosures or sales between family members. From that data, a trend is determined for your neighborhood. If a large number of houses sell over assessed value, you would likely see an increase applied to the neighborhood.
What if I don't agree with my assessment?
You can appeal it with your assessor during what's called the open book period, which takes place shortly after assessment notices are sent. If you don't think your assessment reflects the market value of your home, you can bring evidence, like sales in your neighborhood or the condition of your property, to open book. Under state law, assessors cannot take your ability to pay property taxes into account when assessing property. The assessor's office is responsible for property values, not the taxes. You'll find a lot of information and resources available online at the City Assessor or Wisconsin Department of Revenue web pages.
In this way, Olivia continued to teach Sammy about his taxes. She encouraged Sammy to contact his state legislators about tax policies that might unfairly shift the tax burden. Together, they learned about dark store valuation, the way developers can use agricultural use value, and tax exemptions for business personal property. Sammy became an active participant in his government and lived happily ever after, empowered with the knowledge of the tax process.